Welcome to Voice Daily Finance, the most important news personalized for you every day. Supported by Voice.com.
Today we're sharing three big stories. First up, President Donald Trump has just dropped a bombshell, a 100% tariff on imported semiconductors. This is a high-stakes ultimatum for companies like Apple, Nvidia, and TSMC. Then we'll shift to the world of AI, where OpenAI is reportedly in talks for a staggering $500 billion valuation for ChatGPT. We'll dig into its golden handcuff strategy in a fierce talent war with rivals like Meta. And finally, we'll look at how candy giant Mars is using CRISPR gene editing to save the world's chocolate supply, a move that highlights a major strategy battle with competitors like Nestle. The most unexpected news in the finance world today has to be this: a 100% tariff on all imported semiconductors and chips. That's the bombshell announcement just dropped by President Donald Trump, sending a massive shockwave through the global tech industry. And this isn't just a headline for the tech world. You know, it has a direct line to your wallet. It's not just about your phone or computer. The reality is these chips are in everything. Think about your car. The average modern vehicle has between 1,400 and 1,500 individual chips inside. This tariff could mean higher car prices. The same goes for critical medical devices, farm equipment, and even your kitchen appliances. The Information Technology and Innovation Foundation projects that consumers will ultimately bear the cost of these tariffs through higher prices on almost everything. But there's a giant catch. In the president's own words, if you're building in the United States of America, there will be no charge. This isn't just a trade policy, it's a high-stakes ultimatum delivered from the Oval Office. The message is clear. Move your manufacturing to the US or see your costs double overnight. Now, get this, saying build it here is one thing, but the reality on the ground is far more complicated. The US faces a massive onshoring bottleneck. For starters, the Semiconductor Industry Association projects a shortage of around 67,000 skilled technicians, computer scientists, and engineers needed to run these new factories by 2030. And what about the incredibly specialized equipment? The most advanced machines required to make bleeding-edge chips are made by only one company in the world, ASML, which is based in the Netherlands. This creates a critical dependency. This is about rewiring the entire global supply chain, and that is a monumental task. And the money already in motion is staggering. We're talking about more than $600 billion in US semiconductor projects announced since 2020. This tariff threat lands just as Apple commits another $100 billion to its US operations, bringing its total pledge to over $500 billion. But there's a ripple effect here that isn't getting much airtime. While giants like Apple and Nvidia can pour billions into US facilities, what about the small hardware startups? The innovators working in garages and small labs? These companies often rely on affordable global sourcing to develop and launch new products. A 100% tariff could crush them before they even get started, potentially stifling the next wave of American innovation because only the biggest players can afford to play the game. The pressure is on everyone. TSMC, the world's largest contract chip maker, has already pledged $165 billion for US manufacturing. Nvidia, the world's most valuable company, plans to spend $500 billion on AI infrastructure stateside. And they aren't alone. Giants like Global Foundries and Texas Instruments are pouring tens of billions more into expanding their American facilities. This is about rewiring the entire global supply chain for the single most critical component in modern technology. But the announcement leaves a critical question hanging over a multi-trillion-dollar industry. What exactly does it mean to be building in the United States? And the reason that question is so tough to answer comes down to the sheer complexity of the process. Think about it. A chip isn't just made in one place. It starts with design, which might happen in California. Then the chip is fabricated in a massive multi-billion-dollar plant or fab in Taiwan. After that, it could be sent to Malaysia for assembly, testing, and packaging. The process is global. Even existing regulations like the CHIPS Act, which is designed to boost US manufacturing, focus heavily on the fabrication part, but they're not crystal clear on whether design, testing, and packaging also have to be onshore to count as made in America. The ambiguity is a massive headache for a global industry trying to navigate this new reality. Speaking of the high-stakes tech world, the battle isn't just over hardware. A war is also raging in the world of artificial intelligence, and one company is looking to raise funds at a jaw-dropping valuation. Let's start with a single statistic that might just change your entire perspective on this company. OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, is in early talks for a deal that could value it at a staggering $500 billion. To put that in perspective, that's a massive leap from its current valuation of $300 billion. This isn't just growth, it's an explosion in value, and it's happening at lightning speed. So what's driving this astronomical number? Well, the valuation is based on some truly mind-bending projections. Investors are betting that OpenAI will hit $20 billion in annual revenue by the end of 2025. The reason that's so crazy is that it gives the company a valuation that's 25 times its sales. For comparison, when giants like Amazon and Apple hit similar valuations, they had far, far higher revenues. Investors are essentially betting that OpenAI will not just grow, but will fundamentally disrupt and capture the market from these established giants. So what's fueling this fire? Two things: users and revenue. The company now boasts an incredible 700 million weekly active users for its ChatGPT products. However, supporting that many users comes with some pretty staggering invisible costs. We're talking about massive infrastructure and staggering energy consumption. Research shows that training a model like this can use as much electricity as over 100 American homes for an entire year, and every single query you make to ChatGPT consumes energy. It might seem small, but when you multiply that by billions of queries from 700 million users, the environmental footprint becomes enormous. As for the money, OpenAI doubled its revenue in just the first 7 months of the year, putting it on an annualized run rate of $12 billion. But this isn't just about a big valuation. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. It's about a war for talent. This potential deal is designed to let employees cash out their shares, creating a massive incentive to keep them from jumping ship to rivals. It's a strategy the industry calls golden handcuffs. So the thing is, companies are staying private much longer. So instead of waiting for an IPO, they offer these secondary share sales to give employees a payday now. It's a powerful retention tool, but there's a fascinating twist. It also gives top talent the exact capital they might need to leave and start their own competing companies. So it's a high stakes gamble, and the competition is fierce. Tech giants like Meta are aggressively investing billions to poach top A. Mine's creating a high stakes battle for the people who are building our future. This isn't a typical funding round. It's a strategic weapon in the race for AI dominance. By allowing employees to sell billions of dollars worth of shares, OpenAI is attempting to lock down its most valuable asset, its human capital. Existing investors like Thrive Capital are already in discussions to participate. It leaves you wondering, as valuations skyrocket and the talent war intensifies, what is the real endgame for control over artificial intelligence? And just how high can the price tag go? Ultimately, at the heart of this story is a battle for the soul of OpenAI itself. The company was founded as a non-profit with a mission to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. But to get the funding it needed, it shifted to a cap profit model, which allowed for a massive $13 billion investment from Microsoft. This has created a fundamental tension between its original vision and its new profit-driven reality, a tension that has critics and even some founders worried that the mission is being left behind. All market data is subject to change. This report is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice. It seems like every major industry is turning to high-tech solutions for its biggest problems. And that brings us to our final story, where the future of one of the world's favorite treats, chocolate, is now in the hands of gene editing scientists. A seemingly impossible collaboration just became a reality. Candy giant Mars, the company behind M&M's, has struck a deal to literally rewrite the DNA of chocolate. The core conflict is that cacao plants, the source of every chocolate bar you eat, are under severe threat from climate-related heat and disease. Without a solution, the future of chocolate itself is at risk. To understand the stakes, you have to look at a vulnerability in our global food supply. See, much of it relies on what's called a monoculture, where we grow huge amounts of a single genetically uniform crop. This makes it incredibly efficient, but also incredibly vulnerable. The history of the Gros Michel banana, wiped out by a single fungus, is a stark warning. Cacao is facing a similar monoculture trap, and a new disease or a shift in climate could be catastrophic. And the solution is radical. Mars is turning to CRISPR, a powerful gene editing technology, to design a more resilient cacao plant. Instead of waiting decades for traditional breeding, they can now make precise, targeted changes to the plant's genetic code to help it survive. This is where the science gets really interesting. CRISPR is like a pair of genetic scissors, allowing scientists to find a specific gene, say one for disease susceptibility, and snip it out, or even replace it with a more robust version. But there's a huge challenge. It's called pleiotropy, which is a fancy way of saying one gene can affect multiple traits. The very gene that helps a plant fight off a virus might also be linked to creating those rich, complex flavors we love in high-quality chocolate. So the scientist's biggest job is to boost resilience without accidentally editing out the taste. To put this in perspective, this is the same category of groundbreaking technology that the FDA recently approved for treating human diseases like sickle cell. Now, that same level of biotech power is being aimed directly at the global candy supply chain. A top director at Mars went on the record stating they believe CRISPR has the potential to strengthen global supply chains. This isn't just a science experiment, it's a calculated corporate strategy to future-proof a multi-billion-dollar industry. This move immediately brings up two massive questions. First, how will they avoid a Franken-chocolate backlash from consumers? The FDA doesn't require special labeling for gene-edited foods, so Mars will have to be incredibly transparent to win public trust. But the even bigger question is about fairness. Who will own the patent on this new super chocolate? Mars has said they want to help the smallholder farmers in West Africa and Latin America who grow most of the world's cocoa, but there's a real risk that these farmers could be shut out or forced to pay for access to the very seeds that could save their livelihood. But that's not the whole picture. The real turning point is that this isn't an isolated event. Starbucks recently made a similar move, investing in special innovation farms to develop climate-proof coffee beans. The front line in the battle to secure the world's favorite indulgences is no longer just in the fields, it's shifting to the biotech lab. The situation presents a fascinating duality. On one side, you have Mars betting on high-tech genetic intervention. On the other, competitors like Nestlé are investing heavily in large-scale ecological restoration through agroforestry. Which leads to a bigger thought. First coffee, now chocolate. How much of the food in your kitchen will soon be the product of genetic engineering?
That's it for today on Valuation Daily Finance. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.